Welcome to Trending Unpacked, the podcast where we explore what the world is talking about one trend at a time. Today we're looking into the really extraordinary legacy of Robert Redford. Now you might hear that name and immediately think Hollywood legend, right? But his impact is just so much broader. And actually right now his legacy is getting this renewed wave of cultural interest. It's sparking a lot of talk online, retrospectives, across different generations, actually.
It's true. There's a real sort of reevaluation happening. It's moving beyond just, oh, remember that movie? People are recognizing Robert Redford not just as this, legendary actor, but as this incredibly multifaceted cultural figure. His influence is huge: acting, directing, environmental activism, and you could argue maybe most importantly, he fundamentally shaped the whole landscape of independent cinema. He's really a testament to what one person with a clear vision and real determination can achieve.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why our focus today isn't just about, looking back fondly at his movies, great as they are. We want to really get into why his contributions are still so significant, what makes his particular mix of classic stardom and real substance so compelling, and maybe most importantly, what lessons can future generations take from a career that's so diverse and, well, impactful. It's a fascinating story of building, well, more than just a career, really, a lasting cultural presence.
Precisely. His story is almost like a masterclass in how to use a platform, not just for yourself, for fame or money, but for something bigger, something enduring. It's kind of a blueprint for purposeful success.
Okay, so let's start unpacking this. Robert Redford, born 1936, American actor, director, producer, and a committed environmentalist. I mean, even that short list tells you something, doesn't it? It signals the sheer breadth we're about to get into.
It really does, yeah. It sets the stage perfectly. That simple bio hints at a career that just refused to be put in one box. He wasn't just dipping his toe into these different areas. He was excelling in them, building this legacy that's, both broad and deep. And that breadth is exactly why his impact is still felt today and why we're seeing this renewed interest. He was always pushing boundaries. Personally, professionally.
Right. And for most people, I think, the way into Redford's world is through his acting, his persona. As this iconic actor, he really emerged as the leading man for a generation, didn't he? He had that classic Hollywood charm, the looks, the cool. But there was always something else there, too, something more nuanced, like an intellectual edge, maybe, or a kind of subtle anti-establishment vibe. It made his characters feel more real. More reflective of the times. He was obviously handsome, but you always felt there was something going on behind the eyes, a sort of restless intelligence.
That's a really good way to put it. He wasn't just another pretty face, for the movie posters. His whole persona carried this undercurrent of, quiet intelligence, thoughtful independence, sometimes a subtle rebelliousness that really set him apart. And that duality let him play such an amazing range of characters. Charming rogues on the fringes, sure, but also deeply principled guys challenging the system. That unique blend was key to how quickly he became a star.
And you see that so clearly in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, 1969. Now, that wasn't just another Western, was it? It felt like it broke the mold, redefined the genre, really, and created maybe the ultimate buddy film at the same time.
Oh, absolutely groundbreaking for a Western. And its influence is still felt today, definitely. You think about Westerns back then, often stoic heroes, clear good guys and bad guys. Butch Cassidy gave us these anti-heroes who kind of knew they were out of time. It flipped the script by adding humor, sharp dialogue, and this really poignant look at friendship when things were falling apart. Instead of glorifying the Wild West, it was almost melancholy, like an elegy for these outlaws running out of road.
And the chemistry with Paul Newman.
Legendary. That's not even strong enough. It was just this undeniable connection. You believed it completely. One of the all-time great screen pairings. And Redford, as the Sundance Kid, the quick-witted one, maybe a bit more volatile than Newman's Butch, that role just instantly cemented his image as that charming rogue. Effortlessly cool, could talk or shoot his way out of anything, but with a vulnerability underneath.
And it wasn't just a hit movie. It had this huge cultural impact. It made Redford a major star overnight. His name alone could sell tickets after that. He was the Sundance Kid for so many people.
Exactly. That role was totally transformative for his career, yeah, but also for the Western genre itself. It became a real cultural touchstone. Think about the structure, the sort of pop touches, like the bicycle scene with the B.J. Thomas song.
Raindrops keep falling on my head.
Yeah. Right. It felt modern, even though it was a period piece. It challenged the seriousness of traditional Westerns and kind of tapped into that late 60s disillusionment with authority. It was like a deconstruction of the Western myth, but wrapped up in this really charming, witty package. And Redford brought this depth, this kind of melancholic charm to Sundance that just connected with audiences.
Then fast forward just a few years, 1973, and you get The Sting, another huge success, reteaming with Newman and director George Roy Hill. That film just oozes style, doesn't it? And the plot is so intricate, so clever.
The Sting was just pure, sophisticated entertainment. It took everything people loved about the Redford-Newman dynamic, but put it in this totally different world. 1930s Chicago, con artist, the whole dazzling, deceptive scene. The plot is like clockwork, so intricate. The look of it is amazing. It perfectly balances suspense and humor. The whole thing feels like this elaborate dance of deception. And Redford as Johnny Hooker, the younger, hungry con man out for revenge, it let him show off that sharp intelligence again, that quick thinking, that charisma. You totally buy the planning, the nerve, the sheer performance art involved in pulling off a con like that. It really solidified his knack for playing these smart, charismatic characters who are always playing a bigger game, needs brains and guts.
But he didn't just stick with that charming rogue type, even though it was clearly working for him. By 1976, he makes this really significant turn with All the President's Men.
Yeah.
That film really pushed him into much more serious, politically charged ground.
Yeah, and that was a really pivotal, honestly brave move for an actor who was like at the absolute peak of his leading man fame. He could have just kept making guaranteed hits, right? But instead, he used his star power for this story with huge social and political weight. You can't really overstate how important that film was as a journalistic thriller, especially coming so soon after Watergate had just consumed the country.
Right, the timing was incredible.
Incredible, and his portrayal of Bob Woodward. It wasn't about looking cool or being charming. It was about the grind, the often thankless, difficult work of investigative journalism, relentlessly digging for truth against these incredibly powerful forces. That role showed a totally different side of his acting, a deep commitment to substantive stories, a timely political commentary. It proved he was willing to use his fame for something more, to tell stories that mattered, that sparked discussion, that held power accountable. He wasn't just entertaining people, he was challenging them, provoking them even.
And then, nearly a decade later, 1984, he gives us The Natural, which felt like a total 180 from the grit of All the President's Men, this mythical sports drama, almost like an American fable.
It was beautiful, wasn't it? Almost poetic. And yeah, a real departure. The Natural wasn't just a baseball movie. It felt like a modern myth. It had this timeless quality. The look of it is stunning, almost like a painting. And Redford himself, as Roy Hobbs, the aging hero, almost legendary, it instantly became a classic sports film. Here, he showed he could play a character who embodies hope, resilience, maybe even a touch of the magical. A man haunted by his past, but still capable of these incredible, almost superhuman moments.
Yeah, that ending.
Right. The film blends the sort of tough reality of sports with these hints of magical realism. And Redford tapped into something really archetypal there. He played Hobbs with this quiet intensity. You felt the raw talent, but also the deep regrets of a man getting that one last shot. It just showcased his amazing versatility. Moving from gritty journalism to this poetic sports legend, always believable, always compelling.
It's so clear he had this incredible range as an actor. He could inhabit so many different worlds. But what's really fascinating, I think, is that his artistic ambition didn't stop there. Moving into directing, for an established star like him, that's a big deal. It often signals, a deeper vision, a desire for more creative control, a need to tell stories from a different angle.
It absolutely does. When an actor of Redford's stature decides to direct, it's a huge statement about their goals. It means they want to move beyond just playing one part to shaping the whole narrative, controlling the tone, the look, the message. It's about total creative immersion. And it takes guts, right, to risk your established reputation in a totally new, really challenging field.
And he didn't just, test the waters. His first film as director, Ordinary People in 1980, wins the Oscar for Best Director. I mean, that's not just a pivotal moment. That's an unbelievable achievement for a debut. How did he pull that off?
It was truly monumental, a massive achievement for a first-time director, and yeah, it totally validated his move. It showed he was an auteur, not just an actor trying something new. Ordinary People is just a masterpiece of sensitive, character-focused storytelling. It tackles grief, loss, mental health within a family with this unflinching but deeply compassionate eye. Redford showed this amazing ability to handle really complex emotional stuff, and he got these raw, authentic, incredibly nuanced performances from his actors. And his style was very naturalistic. He used deep focus, camera work that didn't draw attention to itself, letting the emotional drama just unfold. You felt like you were observing, not being manipulated. That debut just revealed his incredible storytelling instincts, his commitment to these deep, character-driven dramas that really explore the human condition with empathy. He wasn't just directing scenes, he was exploring the complex, often painful landscape of human feeling. His acting experience must have helped him guide his performers.
But even with that huge success as a director, his vision went further still. building this whole independent cinema empire, starting with the Sundance Institute in 1981. This wasn't just about his films anymore. This was about changing the whole game for other filmmakers.
This is really where his legacy goes beyond his own work and becomes about being this visionary cultural architect. His idea for the Sundance Institute was honestly revolutionary back then. The goal was to support independent storytelling outside the big commercial studios, which could be really creatively limiting. In the early 80s, Hollywood was all about blockbusters, established formulas.
Right.
Redford saw this desperate need for a safe space, a launch pad for new voices, diverse voices, people who wouldn't otherwise get heard, stories that didn't fit the commercial mold. He really believed in nurturing new talent, making sure different perspectives had a platform, which was a pretty radical, almost rebellious idea at the time.
And out of that institute grew the Sundance Film Festival, which became, well, the place for independent film. It's hard to even imagine the film world without Sundance now.
It really is, and it still holds that position. Its role in finding, showing, and launching the careers of just countless independent filmmakers is massive. You can't overstate it. Before Sundance, if you were an unknown filmmaker with a unique idea, the barriers were huge. Getting funding, mentorship, distribution, it was incredibly hard. Sundance kind of democratized things. They offered labs for screenwriting, directing, producing, mentorship from pros, crucial seed money. These were resources unheard of for unknown artists outside the studios. It bypassed the traditional gatekeepers who were often focused purely on profit, not artistic risk. It gave genuinely unique voices a real path to getting their films made and seen. This initiative really cemented his legacy as someone who didn't just achieve greatness himself, but built the actual infrastructure to support a whole ecosystem of artists, fundamentally changing how films get made and seen worldwide.
And then eventually retired from acting in 2018 with The Old Man and the Gun, which felt like a really nice kind of poignant closing chapter for his acting career. But as we're saying, that doesn't mean his influence stopped. If anything, him stepping back just gives us more space to really appreciate everything he built.
It was a perfect final role, wasn't it? Charming, reflective, a great capstone. But yeah, like we've been saying, his impact goes so far beyond his acting. His retirement just kind of highlighted the full scope of what he did. It allowed for this broader look at his total influence. He built a legacy that exists completely independently of whether he's on screen or not.
Okay, so speaking of that influence, let's shift to how he's seen and talked about today, especially online. There's this thing people call the Sundance effect, right? This huge catalyst for indie cinema. The ripple effects are still reshaping the industry.
The Sundance effect isn't just a catchphrase. It's this massive force that completely changed modern filmmaking. Redford, creating the Institute and Festival, didn't just help indie film, it directly ignited it and sustained it. By providing resources, mentorship, and this crucial global spotlight, he empowered a whole generation of filmmakers who might have just been totally ignored by the mainstream. He let them find their voice, find an audience.
And we're talking about launching massive careers here.
Yeah.
I mean, think of the names who got their break or a huge boost at Sundance. Quentin Tarantino, Steven Soderbergh, Richard Linklater, Ava DuVernay. The list goes on. These aren't just minor successes. These are directors who've completely redefined cinema in many ways, telling stories that might never have been made otherwise.
Absolutely. Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs got huge buzz at Sundance, signaling this radical new style. Soderbergh basically exploded onto the scene with sex, lies, and videotape, ushering in this new era of smart, character-driven indie films that could actually make money too.
Right. That was a game changer.
Totally. Linklater showed a different, more observational style with films like Slacker. And, more recently, Ava DuVernay. Middle of Nowhere got crucial exposure there, helping pave the way for Selma. These examples just show the incredible range of styles and stories and perspectives Sundance championed. It wasn't about pushing one type of film, it was about fostering real originality, artistic guts. By challenging the Hollywood gatekeepers and their focus on, safe bets, Sundance didn't just make the film world more diverse and dynamic, it proved that great stories could come from anywhere. Not just the big studios, it enriched the whole cinematic conversation.
And it wasn't just an American thing either, was it? Sundance became this model that inspired other festivals and institutes all over the world, helping them grow their own local indie scenes.
Exactly. It was inspirational. It showed that this focused, artist-first approach could genuinely develop new talent and enrich cinema globally. So its structural influence on the industry is truly worldwide. It helped create this whole network supporting indie filmmakers everywhere. What Redford built changed the game for independent artists everywhere, encouraging filmmaking power to spread out, not just be concentrated in Hollywood.
It's also really interesting how he's seen today as this kind of cultural symbol. He seems to represent this unique mix, almost old-fashioned now, of classic Hollywood glamour and serious artistic integrity, plus real social awareness. That feels pretty rare these days in celebrity culture.
It feels incredibly rare, yeah. And maybe that's why it resonates so much right now, in an age where celebrity can often feel kind of manufactured or all about the brand. Redford represented something more holistic. He was absolutely a major movie star, no question. Charisma, classic good looks, all of it. But he consistently picked roles and projects that showed this deep commitment to artistic quality and serious social issues. That integrated persona feels valuable because it seems authentic, purposeful. His choices, on screen and off, built this image of integrity, thoughtful engagement. In an industry that's often seen as superficial, he showed you could be a star and a substantive contributor.
And that commitment really carries over into his political and environmental voice. He wasn't just an actor with opinions. His activism feels like a fundamental part of who he is, part of his legacy, not just something tacked on.
Oh, undeniably. His consistent vocal activism for progressive causes, especially his lifelong dedication to environmental protection, really cemented his role as much more than just a performer. He used his massive platform to raise awareness and push for change decades ago, long before it was common or even fashionable for celebrities to do that.
Yeah, he was way ahead of the curve on that.
Way ahead. He supported laws, testified before Congress, helped found groups like the Natural Resources Defense Council. He used Sundance to promote environmental films. He set a huge precedent. He broadened the idea of what a celebrity's role could be, showed that public figures could be powerful, effective, deeply committed advocates for change. That part of his legacy goes way beyond movies. It's about being a responsible citizen of the world.
And then there's the way he's been embraced by digital culture, which is kind of delightful and maybe a bit ironic for someone so associated with classic cinema. We have to talk about the Robert Redford nodding gif from Jeremiah Johnson. Is that right?
That's the one. It's fantastic, isn't it? It shows how his image, his whole vibe is still alive and kicking, even for younger people online who might not have seen his films the old-fashioned way. That simple little clip, just a subtle, knowing nod of approval from his character, it's become this universal online shorthand for agreement or understanding or just quiet appreciation.
Yeah, you see it everywhere.
Everywhere. And it introduces his persona, that calm authority, that classic cool to whole new groups of people in this totally unexpected but really effective way. Memes like this bridge generations. They take a classic movie moment and give it new life in contemporary online chat. It shows cultural influence can pop up in really surprising digital ways.
And it's not just that one meme either.
Yeah.
The online discussion seemed to recognize both his famous acting roles and his huge behind-the-scenes work with Sundance. There seems to be a real depth of appreciation there.
Exactly. These digital conversations show his legacy isn't just something older generations look back on. It's being actively reinterpreted, appreciated, woven into today's culture in real ways. Often, younger people find him through the meme, get curious, then dive into his films, learn about Sundance. It creates this ongoing cycle of discovery. It proves his influence isn't stuck in the past. It's dynamic. It keeps finding new ways to resonate.
Okay, so let's try to pull all these threads together. Robert Redford's broader cultural influence. What does it really boil down to? His environmental activism, for instance, seems incredibly pioneering. He really set a high standard there.
Absolutely pioneering, a true trailblazer in environmental advocacy. He used his star power to shine a light on critical issues decades ago, way before it became a mainstream thing for celebrities. And he wasn't just lending his name, he was actively involved testifying, founding organizations like NRDC, using Sundance to push environmental docs and talks. If you look at the big picture, his early sustained activism really helped set the standard for how public figures can use their voice effectively for conservation, for climate action. He influenced the whole landscape of celebrity environmentalism we see today. He showed that real long-term commitment could make a difference.
And then the transformation of cinema through indie film. We've talked about that Sundance effect, but putting it in that larger context. He personally championed and fundamentally changed the whole movie landscape. Permanently.
It's hard to overstate it, truly. Redford didn't just support indie film, he meticulously built its foundation. He nurtured its growth into this thriving global movement. He democratized filmmaking, essentially. He allowed so many different stories and voices, stories Hollywood wouldn't touch, to reach audiences everywhere. And that had huge ripple effects. More diversity in storytelling, challenging old narratives, encouraging experiments, raising audience expectations about what movies could be. What's really key is he didn't just start a festival. He created an entire ecosystem, a movement that enriched global cinema. It influenced everything from the types of stories told to new distribution models to how we even define cinematic art.
He really does seem like this unique example of integrated influence, someone who just seamlessly combined his artistic career with his social and environmental passions. It wasn't like one thing over here and another over there. It was all connected. Each part fed the other.
And that raises a good point. How many public figures really manage that kind of genuine integration? His career is this amazing example of a holistic approach to cultural impact. Art and activism weren't separate tracks for him. They reinforced each other. His films often had social messages. His activism drew on his storytelling skills, his understanding of how narrative works. He showed that real, lasting influence isn't just about what you create yourself, but also what you stand for, how you empower others, and how those two things can weave together to create something much more powerful and enduring, something that actually shapes the world around you.
So if we're thinking about lessons for future generations, what does Redford's incredible career teach us about building a legacy with purpose? What about just the sheer power of having a platform, which he used so consistently?
The power of platform is definitely a huge lesson. His career is a masterclass in using influence and success ethically and impactfully. Not just for yourself, but for wider societal and artistic good. He showed how a celebrity could go beyond just self-promotion and become a real force for good. He saw needs in his industry, in the world, and dedicated his resources, his vision, his considerable clout to tackling them. He set a precedent that others follow now, maybe without even realizing who laid the groundwork.
And his artistic integrity, his vision, especially challenging the easy path by going into directing, founding Sundance. That seems like another crucial takeaway for anyone wanting to make a real mark.
Absolutely. It teaches us how important it is to hold on to your artistic vision, your moral compass, even if it means turning away from the safe or profitable route. Redford could have just stayed one of the biggest movie stars ever, right? But his ambition was bigger. He wanted to shape stories, foster new talent, create opportunities for a whole sector of the industry. That took immense courage, foresight, and this unwavering belief in independent voices. He chose to build a legacy focused on substance and sustainability, artistically and environmentally, not just chasing the next big hit.
And maybe the most profound lesson is about empowering others. He didn't just create for himself. He spent a huge chunk of his life building a system to lift up countless others.
That really is the hallmark of his lasting transformative impact, I think. He understood that true legacy isn't just measured by your own work, but by the opportunities and infrastructure you create for others to succeed. By founding Sundance, he built this whole ecosystem designed specifically to empower others, making sure new, diverse voices and untold stories would keep emerging, enriching all of our culture. That act of creation, of nurturing a whole movement, that's why he's still so relevant. It's why he's trending now, why his story is being looked at again. His multifaceted contributions just keep resonating. They offer timeless lessons in creativity, advocacy, and amazing institution building.
So thinking about Robert Redford's entire legacy, acting, directing, environmentalism, building Sundance, what does his career ultimately tell us about the real measure of success? Not just in Hollywood, maybe, but in leaving a lasting, meaningful mark on culture and society.
That's the big question, isn't it? His career really pushes us to look beyond just fame or money or single achievements. It powerfully suggests that true success lies in the cumulative impact of your choices, in your ability to integrate your personal passions with your public influence, and in having the foresight to build things, structure, systems that empower future generations. It's about how much you give back, how many doors you open for others, how enduring and transformative your vision turns out to be. His journey really suggests the ultimate measure isn't just what you accomplish yourself, but what you make possible for the world, for art, and for humanity.
Wow. What an incredible journey through an extraordinary life and career. Robert Redford's legacy is just so deep, so wide, a real testament to living with purpose. It's been fantastic unpacking it with you today.
It really has been a pleasure exploring all those layers of his influence, and thanks to everyone listening for joining us on this exploration.
Yes, thank you for tuning in to Trending Unpacked. Next time we'll be exploring another fascinating rising trend. Clock it. Until then, keep exploring.